Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 233, Feng Shui for a Healthy Lifestyle with Jess Neary.
In today's episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we talked to Jess Neary from Nurture with Nature Home Designs on how to Feng Shui or organize and design your kitchen to help accomplish your health and lifestyle goals. Jess and I help Adam understand how your physical environment can actually affect your overall state of mind and why it's important to set up your environment to help you achieve the goals you're looking out for. We go through the before and after of our own kitchen makeover based on the recommendations Jess gave us to attain our intentions. We also provide practical tips to organize your pantry and refrigerator to help you make healthier choices. You'll even learn which colors you'll want to use as accents throughout the home.
Jess Neary combines her intuition with education and experience with Feng Shui and interior design to help families create transformational spaces with Nurture with Nature Home Designs. Jess's interests in interior design led to an entrepreneur's path where she offers guidance to others in their journey towards a healthy, wealthy, and fulfilling life. Using the home as a catalyst for change, she provides awareness on how our environments can dramatically enhance the flow in our lives and break through obstacles that could be holding us back. So here's the thing. We all want to do a little bit better. We all want to make better choices, and we all want to have someone to count on to push us just a little bit outside of our comfort zone. But not everyone is willing to hire a coach or find a friend that could help us get us to where we want to go. That's what's great about our Propelled by Plants performance tees and our Training for Life soft cotton t-shirts. They are that reminder that is literally on your shoulder, encouraging you, reminding you, and building your confidence to run a little further, get up a little earlier, or make better choices at meal and snack time. Don't you want a little bit more of that? So head over to planttrainers.com/shop and pick up one or both of those shirts and start walking a little taller or longer or faster. Sizes go quick, so order yours today. And if you have one already, snap a pic and tag us on Instagram or Facebook. And now for a moment of gratitude.
I'm grateful for the opportunity to spend time over the holidays with family near and far. I also want to give a shout out to Matt Chale for touching base with me before the holidays and wish him and everybody else out there a Happy New Year.
And so, I'm also grateful for that, being with family, hanging out with everyone, and just having that holiday time to be able to hang out.
Jess Neary, thank you so much for coming on the Plant Trainers Podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
We're going to be talking about how the home contributes to a healthy lifestyle, but before we do, we wanted to know if you have a moment of gratitude to share with us today.
I do. Today, the day of the recording, is actually the new moon. And right now, what's been on my mind a lot lately, or throughout today, has been this appreciation or gratitude for new beginnings. Because at any point, we can decide how we want to direct our lives and make a change. And it's never too late. This has been something that's always reflected in my life, made several changes, abrupt and sudden changes to kind of course correct how I wanted my life to go. And it's all been for the better. So I'm very grateful for those opportunities.
That's beautiful. And I haven't been following the moon too long, but I do understand that with the new moon comes the idea of manifestation and creating new outlooks for yourself and seeing what you want to bring into your life, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And this episode's coming out in the new year. The new year just happened, so it's a new beginning for everybody. I know it's a time that people are starting fresh and making resolutions. And for all you people out there that are making resolutions, don't forget to hold to them. And just because January 17th shows up, the date where most people let their goals go and let their resolutions fall apart, don't let it happen to you. Make this a good beginning and go for it.
So before we start to talk about how we can Feng Shui for our health, let's just give a little bit of a brief history and an explanation of what Feng Shui is, because it might be new to a lot of the listeners.
Absolutely. So Feng Shui literally translates to wind, and water. And like the energy in our personal lives, we want this energy to meander through our spaces to optimize different areas in our life that are reflected in different areas of our home. So Feng Shui is about bettering our lives by increasing this energetic flow within our home spaces. It originated over 3,000 years ago in China, and it was primarily used for ensuring the success of the emperor's kingdom. It was also used to find auspicious burial grounds, and then throughout the years, this information and knowledge base was filtered down to commoners. And now, in today's day and age, we have different forms of Feng Shui. Here in the Western world, we are introduced to BTP Feng Shui. It's also called the Western Feng Shui, and it is a form of Feng Shui that uses more of your intuition, and it also uses more of your intention in your spaces than the other forms. So it was brought over, this type, in the 1970s, and it's been used now for 40, 50 years, and I can see it kind of being used more and more in homes these days. It's becoming more important as our energy and our lifestyle is becoming in alignment with our well-being and ensuring that we are our best selves.
So Feng Shui has been used to change the environment or change the exchange of energy in the house, and hopefully to change our behaviors, right? If we're behaving in a way or there's something going on in our life that we don't like, we don't enjoy, we get somebody to come in and they Feng Shui the room, so they Feng Shui the bathroom or they Feng Shui the bedroom or whatever it is to bring more fluidity or progress in that part of your life. So if we could change behavior through that, we know that behavior has a direct effect on our health as well. So if we could change behavior, we can start to aid our progress and our journey with health as well.
Absolutely.
You made it sound like just now that you just have somebody come to the house and wave a magic wand and they clear out the room and everything's all beautiful so you could breathe easier and be healthy. I don't think that's the way it works though, does it?
That's kind of the way it works, dude.
Or no.
Well,
so wait, Jess, if I want
itty-bitty part of that.
No. if I want to live a healthier lifestyle, then obviously the place where I live, the environment that I live in has to be a healthy environment. So
absolutely.
If we're talking about our homes and I walk in the front door and I have a big plank of wood facing me as I walk in the door, I'm going to walk right into that plank. So obviously that's not going to be good for my lifestyle in my home. So are you saying that there are ways to place items in the rooms to allow us to have that energy flow in a positive way that's going to make us breathe better or be healthier or sleep better? Is that kind of the idea?
That's exactly the idea. You know more about Feng Shui, I think, than you thought. But
I guess.
He's just got this skeptical look on his
Well, no,
face.
I'm just thinking about someone who's listening to the show saying, okay, feng shui, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. How is that really impacting my life if I want to be healthier? You know, like I understand fitness, I understand nutrition. Those things are directly going to impact my health. How is where I place my furniture in the house going to really impact my health?
Right. Well, what a word that may be more relevant or may help understand the way that the energy kind of works through the room is we want to remove distractions. Ultimately, for example, clutter in a space is going to be a distraction, and it is going to dispel or it's going to remove that energy that you're trying to create in that space that you live.
So for people who have treadmills or who have bicycles in their house, and they use it to hang their winter jackets in the middle of summer, and they kind of just throw the stuff into the area of the house that's known as the gym. If you're going to say, okay, I'm ready to go, I'm going downstairs, I'm going to go to the gym, and you go downstairs and you're like, oh, well, I guess I have to clean up before I start to use it, and you're like, screw that, I could go for a walk. You go upstairs, you turn on the coffee maker, your phone rings, next thing you know, it's 4:00 and the kids are coming home from school, and you never had your workout, right? So your energy is not going to be as high, you're not going to get your workout in, and you're not going to push forward in that area of your life because it's cluttered. So if it's physically cluttered, then emotionally or energy is cluttered as well, and you want to have, just like you want nice fresh air flowing through the house, you don't want to kind of block up all of your air vents going through the house. The same thing works for more of a spiritual kind of energy as well. Does that make more sense to you now?
Sure.
So what Jess and I wanted to talk about today is we wanted to talk about how we could Feng Shui the kitchen in order to make healthier choices, in order to have more positive energy in the kitchen. And starting off now in 2018, how can we continue with our goals? I'm going to stay away from the word resolution, even though I just said it. But how can we push forward with our goals? Because if we've got cookies in the cupboard and we've got our matcha green tea in the cupboard, but the cookies are in front of the matcha green tea, when you go in because you're hungry or thirsty or want something, what are you going to be more likely to choose? Right. And we're going to kind of put a little bit more of that Feng Shui spiritual organizational spin on it as well.
Right. So we live in a world of convenience. We're busy. We've got a lot to do. We've got families. We've got our careers. We also have our self-care time. We're juggling all these kind of roles, and we want convenience. So exactly, if you've got those cookies in front of the matcha, you're going to see the cookies right away and grab those. Now, if you already even have this habit formed of, reaching for those cookies or the bag of chips, then it's going to be requiring even more energy and awareness from yourself to choose an alternative choice and snack, for example. One perfect example I can give is I was visiting my brother, who lives actually in Toronto, last year. And upon walking into his apartment, I was staying for a couple nights, I kind of had some time to get familiar with the space. About a day later, he was talking about how, he's got all this water, but bottled water, but he never drinks it, and he really wishes he could drink more water. So my suggestion was, okay, where is it located? Well, he had it in the bottom cupboard, kind of pushed in the back. You're less likely to reach for that if you don't actually see it, or it's not in an area where you're going to be visiting often. So my suggestion was, okay, you walk in, and it was, at the time, it was a 1-bedroom apartment. And you walk in and you see the kitchen right away. So my thought was, put the water right on top of the fridge. You put that there, you walk into your house, you see that right away. So even if you're not consciously being aware of this water that's on top of your fridge, subconsciously, you're constantly seeing it every time you come in and out of the house. So that is one way, in this particular example, where you can achieve your goal of consuming more water, or at least giving yourself better odds of making that alternative choice.
So the black and white brain that I have just understood this whole concept as we're creating habit-forming behaviors. Now, we're creating habits. Does that mean that Feng Shui is a habit-forming tool that we use? Does that make sense?
Yes. I actually believe that, and that's just because when we are able to begin to look at our habits, when we're able to kind of take that time to look at why we may not be achieving our goals and what kind of habits may be preventing us from reaching those those goals, we're better able to make those choices that reflect a better outcome, which ultimately will take a New Year's resolution into a lifestyle change and will stick with you in the years to come.
So what are some of the biggest mistakes people are making in their kitchen to distract their awareness from what they want to achieve and create more negative outcome?
I love that question because we're in a world of convenience, and we're also in a world of consumerism. So appliances and having too many, in this case, small appliances, maybe, prohibiting some energetic love kind of being put into your food, Personally, I really enjoy working with my hands, and really having that connection to our food. And that is extremely important as we ourselves are sustained through the food that we consume. It's our health, it's our nourishment. So we want to make sure that, yes, the choices that we make are healthy, but we also want to make sure that we are giving our food the proper attention and awareness and giving it the justice that it deserves. So what I mean by that is, for example, getting a deep fryer. You have a deep fryer, you put your food in there, even if it's zucchini sticks, you're basically botching the food or the nutritional contents of it, right? So if we were to eliminate these small appliances, or at least fine-tune or stick to the basics, the ones that you're going to use often, maybe have multi-purpose, like the Instapot, and really can clear up a lot of space maybe in your pantry or your cupboards. But really, that energy that the cook has with their food or infuses into their food when they're cooking is really going to be what sustains and helps families or each family member do their best and be their best and have the energy that they need.
I think that we could really relate to that because when the children were young, daycare in Toronto is really expensive, and it was easier to get help in the house as opposed to bringing two kids to daycare. So we had help in the house who would help with a lot of the cooking. And as we made the transition into plant-based, she wasn't plant-based. She didn't know the research. She was used to the way that she was eating. And I think that she held a little bit of a grudge because everything all of a sudden, like there was no more chicken, there was no more fish. We went from vegetarian to vegan very, very quickly. And I think that she was far away from her family, and all of these feelings of negativity were coming out while she was cooking because she wasn't happy about what she was cooking. And I think that we really felt that in the food. We tasted that in the food. When we had meals that were familiar from before, everything was okay. When we had other meals that were brand new, somehow we always had a bellyache or a headache or something like that after, which was more of an energy. So I think that when we feel good in the space that we're in, so if your kitchen's all dirty, if it's small, if it's cluttered, and you feel claustrophobic or you feel like, oh, I just want a new kitchen, and you have all these negative feelings coming up as you're cooking, you're not quite putting the love into the food. And our son, when he started making potatoes for the first time with us, he would tell everybody the recipe and he would say, oh, and the last ingredient is love. And, it seems kind of woo-woo-ish or fluffy to people, but the truth is when you really do enjoy what you're doing and you can think positive thoughts while you're doing something, you're going to be more productive, you're going to be happier, and so are the people around you. So creating this environment in your kitchen for whatever you want to try to achieve is really important. What about the people who take all of their things that they don't really need and they say, okay, I'm going to declutter by taking all of this stuff and just throwing it in a closet and hoping the closet never opens because everything will spill out?
Right.
How does that affect our energy and our health?
Well, it's really not out of sight, out of mind. It's still there. And really, by putting it in your closet, you're just postponing the decision to actually take it out of your home. Another way is these items, they do have life to them. They may not be getting the proper attention they deserve in your home, but somebody else can use and benefit from it. So by just kind of cluttering up a space in your closet, it can actually be creating further avoidance to getting rid of the clutter in the first place.
In preparation for this podcast, what we did, which is really exciting and it's fun to share with everybody, is you actually helped me Feng Shui the kitchen. Right. So my kitchen I think it's pretty good, probably compared to some other kitchens you've seen. It's pretty good. We have a few smaller appliances. We keep the Vitamix and the toaster on the on the counter. The Vitamix gets used much more often than the toaster. So that's important to us. And the Instant Pot's locked away, the rice cooker is locked away. But, I did have some areas that you said to work on. But before we started, you asked what my intention was for the room. So let's talk a little bit about what kind of intentions people might have for their health or in the kitchen before they start to think about the changes that they want to make, because I have a feeling had I given you completely different intention, your suggestions would have been a little bit different.
Probably, because a bit of my work is intuitive. So it's going to play off your energy and what kind of information you give me. On top of that, though, it's going to really set the client or yourself up to ask certain questions that are going to revolve around that intention and ensuring that that gets resolved. So intention setting is huge. It's putting our own energy and our thoughts into our space before we even enter it physically. So when we're able to set the intention, you're creating much better odds of achieving desired results.
So, but is setting my intention for my kitchen space, does that mean, I want my kitchen to look nice, or does that mean I want to use my kitchen to achieve a certain goal in my health? Like which way should I be looking at that? Or is it both?
We're taking a pause to let you know that this episode of the Plant Trainers podcast is sponsored by Health IQ. Health IQ uses science and data to secure low rates on life insurance for health-conscious people like runners, cyclists, triathletes, strength trainers, vegans, and more. As we get older, we get scared about applying for life insurance because traditionally, the older you are, the worse the rates get. But imagine being 20 years older and getting a better rate on your life insurance because you recently started training for life, eating more plants, and taking better care of yourself. That's what happens when you apply for life insurance with Health IQ. You get the best rates on life insurance for being in great shape and living a healthy lifestyle. Health IQ customers save up to 33% on their life insurance because physically active people have a 56% lower risk of heart disease, 20% lower risk of cancer, and 58% lower risk of diabetes compared to people who are inactive. And vegans have a 9% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and 15% lower rate of all-cause mortality. Like saving money on your car insurance for being a good driver, Health IQ saves you money on your life insurance for living a healthy, conscious lifestyle. These savings are exclusive to Health IQ, and you must qualify to get the special rate. To see if you qualify, get your free quote today at healthiq.com/planttrainers or mention the promo code planttrainers when you talk to a Health IQ agent. And now back to the show.
I would say it's both. What I mentioned to Shoshana when we were having our exchange with her kitchen, or with your guys' kitchen, is the more specific your intention, the better, because it's going to be the most focused, and we're able to really pinpoint what it is that needs to be resolved to, again, achieve that desired result the easiest way. But it also depends where the person is at. So if you're asking for maybe just a beautiful kitchen, I might probe a little deeper to find out what do you mean by beautiful, because beauty could mean something different to each person. And anyway, it's a pretty vague statement, right? So once we get more specific, we're able to really get the ball moving.
So for example, when you asked me what my intention was for the space, I immediately thought, what do I want to create within my kitchen? And I knew that I wanted to create healthy foods that are going to heal us if we need healing. That's going to allow us to continue to flourish, continue to thrive, continue to, feed my children what the positive food and energy that they need. And also the third thing was that I wanted to put more love into my food. I didn't want to feel annoyed that one of the handles is broken on the drawers and we haven't gotten around to fixing it. And I didn't want to be annoyed by clutter. I want to just feel love all the time. So I think that no matter what my intention was, you would have told me I have a little crawl space under a desk and, there's shopping bags under there. There were potatoes under there. Adam's lunch bag is under there, probably a sweatshirt or a jacket too. Things just get thrown under there. So one of your suggestions was to declutter that area or make it into a cupboard, right? Decluttering it was definitely the way that I went. And people can see these. We'll put some pictures, some before and after. And it's not huge difference, but the differences really did make a difference. So when we decluttered that area, that would have been probably something you would have said no matter what the intention was. But for me saying love and wanting to put more love into my food, you could talk a little bit about what direction you took there.
Absolutely. So for love, what came to me and what really complemented your space very well is this color of red. And in the first set of photos that I received, there weren't any colors really other than you've got brown cupboards, and then you've got, I think, dark brown backsplash.
It's a black splash. Yeah.
Black, yeah. I knew it was pretty dark. So to break up those neutral colors, we wanted to put in a splash. Now, red is also one of the high vibrational colors, so it will also enhance the energy in the space. So red roses, you guys actually added apples, which is perfect. I love how you have added, the energy of the live apples or from the apples themselves. I think that's fabulous. You could put in red pictures, but really even looking at your dishcloths and things like that, it might be a more simpler way to inject that color in there. Will really give that essence of love and that warmth that will translate to putting that love into the cook, which ultimately lands in the food and to those who consume the food.
So what I did is I decluttered certain spaces that you pointed out, like my recipe book area and this open closet that I have that I kind of put things in, and it should be for display, but we're not display people. We're not art showy people like that. We're much more practical. I decluttered that little area, and for red, what I did was there was nothing red that I had already that I kind of wanted to use except for this red Chinese dress that's kind of, it fits on top of an alcohol bottle. We don't drink alcohol. So I kind of put that there in the meantime, and maybe I'll put, I don't know, a bottle of coconut water or some other kind of bottle under there that represents us a little bit more, or pineapple juice or something like that. Right. I'll fix that bottle up, but just for the red there in the meantime and move some other things away. And I did put a little white vase on the counter. And what I did is I have little red spatulas and a really nice red knife that I love to use. So I put all of those red things in there for an extra splash. And I find that really practical too. And now every time I go to grab the knife, which I used to have to open a drawer to do, I just grab it and I think, oh, it's here to represent the love. And, and because I set that intention, every time I go to take it, it actually does make a difference in my thought process, and whether or not that's actually affecting the food or not, it's affecting my well-being. It's affecting my own personal and mental health. And we always have apples out on the counter, depends which bowl they're in, but I'm making an effort of putting the tomatoes and the apples in a bowl where they're pushed together a little bit more and they're put out so that when I'm in the kitchen I could actually see it, as opposed to it hiding behind other things, and allowing that to be, like you said, edible art. Again, really practical. We're not big on going and buying a whole bunch of things just to put out to display. So that really worked for us. And now when I go into the kitchen, I feel like it's cleaner. I feel like there's almost like a cool air breezing through it. I've put in extra effort to kind of clean behind the ears. You know what I mean? Get those little spaces that I don't normally have time to do. And I've made a space where it feels larger now, and I'm much more comfortable in there. And it's been great. And my cupboards were already set up for success because that's kind of what I do with people in their own homes as well. But why don't you talk to people whose pantries might be a mix of all different kinds of foods, because different people are eating in different ways in the house. Let's give some people some really great tips on how to set up their pantry so that they could be making really good, healthy decisions.
Right. Well, you want to make sure that everything is visible, that things are showing properly. So this is really where organization is going to come in handy, especially in the kitchen. I think that is extremely important because, as you're aware, you want to set yourself up for success. So those foods that are going to nourish you and help you, want those to be the most accessible. And when you're in your pantry, now if you have a different member of the family consuming different foods, so your pantry might be a little overloaded, you really want to simplify the items that you have, group them, organize them in a way that is not going to be overwhelming when you open the doors, because that's going to really inhibit that choice that you're going to make to reach for that specific item. Or even it could just be confusing. You're looking for spaghetti noodles, for example, and like you said, they're behind a few things. Maybe they're under
instant soup mix or
whatever. Yeah, exactly. Then you're less likely to reach for that. You're going to get distracted. It's going to deplete that energy that you came into the space with. Or say you reach for that spaghetti, but by the time you get there, it's been a few minutes, the water's boiling, things happen, a child walks in and needs your attention. You really want to make sure that it's simplified so that you can go in, make the choice, and make it as streamlined as possible to get cooking, get the food on the table so that,
I think that's what our listeners are looking for, because they're busy. If they're here, it means that they're either starting or continuing with their fitness journey. They're starting to eat plant-based or continuing to eat plant-based, and they're making a lot of foods from scratch. Maybe they don't use any oils, no added salt. So there's so much going on. And to be able to go straight into your cupboard, get what you need, and leave with it in 30 seconds or 3 seconds before you get all these other distractions, that's really important for them. And I think the same would go with the refrigerator too, and making sure that you're cleaning the refrigerator from older foods, making sure that you don't have leftovers from 2 weeks, that nothing's growing hair in the back of your refrigerator, because that could actually spread to other foods in the fridge, or that could just create a really negative feeling. I mean, I think everybody's had that feeling where they've walked into a bar. That sounds like a joke, but like you've walked into a bar, you've walked into a restaurant, you've walked into somebody's house, and you kind of get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, like, oh, I really don't like it here. There's nothing to make you think that you don't like it, but you get that feeling that you don't like it here. And you don't want to have that feeling in your own home. You don't want to have that feeling in the center of your house that is creating the food that's going to nourish your body. You want to keep it clean. You want to make sure that you know what's in there. And you want to make good choices when you're actually putting things in there to begin with.
Absolutely. The kitchen is one of the most important areas of our home. There's 3 that we talk about in Feng Shui, where it's the front entry, where all your energy and chi comes in, is the kitchen, which is really where our energy is generated. It's the fire energy. It's what sustains us, fuels us, in our bedroom. So I'm extremely grateful that we were able to talk about the kitchen, because it is so important as all these illnesses are kind of becoming hazard and forcing people to essentially look at their lifestyle and how they're relating to food and nutrition. And I think Feng Shui can really help with easing that transition to making those positive choices that are going to have an everlasting effect in your life.
So you mentioned the color red as being a high vibration color and a good one to add in for our kitchen to bring out some more love in that space. Are there any other colors that are significant that would have different effects on people in different spaces, maybe even in the kitchen, maybe in the bedroom, maybe in the hallways? And what would they mean?
Sure. Actually, in the kitchen, the ideal color is white. And having the walls white is really going to enhance the beauty from your food. And so in the kitchen, it's really all about enhancing the food. We want to enjoy it, love it, appreciate it. And with the white, we're really able to see that color contrast and see the vibrancy within the fruit or vegetables that you're preparing. Black is known to be a nice accent color. You don't want to overdo it because it also represents water, and we don't want to water down the fire that's being created in the kitchen.
Well, our kitchen was like that before we moved in, so we didn't...
Well, listen to this. We moved into that kitchen, which people will see in the pictures if they go to the show notes at planttrainers.com, that it is actually quite dark. We have a black backsplash, we have our black granite countertops, and we've got brown cupboards. But the brown is kind of an orangey brown, so it's got a little bit of color in there. The first day that we lived in the house, the shower leaked into the ceiling of the kitchen, and we literally had torrential rain in our kitchen. So you hear saying that black represents water, and us having water damage on our first night in the house is quite insane.
It's
not the first time. It wasn't the last time we had water damage come through there either. So needless to say,
but we're good now. It's been good and it's going to stay good.
Yes, but when we decide between the Tesla and the kitchen, we're going for the kitchen.
Yeah.
No Tesla.
Kitchen first, Tesla next.
Yeah.
I don't see a Tesla
We
coming.
got to ramp up our
soon.
Patreon again.
Yeah.
But red is a great accent color to have in the kitchen as well because of the representation of fire.
Okay, and what about other colors, and what do they mean
Absolutely.
in different rooms?
Yeah. So, blue, for example, has got a very calming effect. Great for bedrooms. You don't want to use it in excess. You do not want to use it for your bed sheets. That could be a whole topic for another show, but what else? Yellow relates a lot to your health and well-being. It's very uplifting and very cheery color. You know what? There's a whole science actually behind color therapy. It's quite fascinating. Yeah, and it really emphasizes the effects that color can have on your mood and your energy, of course, but how you carry yourself in a space as well. And it's rippled, like this knowledge is actually rippled throughout businesses. So for example, McDonald's, the fact that it's, red and yellow is not by chance. It's been carefully studied that red and yellow enhances our appetite. So incorporating those colors is really going to help them with their end goals. So essentially we're taking that knowledge and putting it in our homes so that we can achieve our end goal with the use of all of these kind of tools that we have at our disposal, including color therapy.
So for those people whose end goal is to make better choices to be able to improve their health, what suggestions do you have for them that they can make starting today in their kitchen? In their kitchen,
okay. What I would say,
or anywhere in their house, but their main goal is to increase their health and make better choices.
Sure. Well, let's focus on the kitchen. And actually, this could be applied to any space, but you want to first look at what's broken. I think that's the most easiest solution, a remedy to the energy of this space. Is there any light bulbs, for example, are burnt out or flickering, Are there any handles on your drawers that need to be replaced? Because that will, affect your energy in the space. Is your water running properly? Are your drains unclogged? All of those things are going to have an effect on the energy in this space and the flow as well. So if, for example, your drain is clogged, it's not going to allow for that flow of either the running water to go down the drain, and it's going to have that obstruction. So that's going to cause an issue in that area. But in the kitchen, to enhance, your nutrition and your health and well-being, some other tips and tricks are adding plants. I absolutely love adding plants. It signifies growth, but not only does it have these excellent symbolisms, it also acts as an air purifier and clarifier. So it's actually cleaning the space while it's there. So it's going to help clear the air, and you're going to be breathing that in, which is going to help you be clear and make more positive decisions as well. Also, the color green is actually known to promote nourishment, and it's kind of the nurturing color. So it's going to also promote that in your life as well.
I love adding the green in. Is there a specific type of plant that would be good in a kitchen?
I love to have aloe vera in the kitchen, and that's just from a practical standpoint. If someone burns themselves, for example, on the stove, like one of our children, then you've got the aloe vera plant right there, and you can heal yourself literally from that plant. But, there's a whole host, there's all kinds you can choose from. What I would suggest is actually looking at what's your skill level, I guess, what's your green thumb like? Yeah, so if that's not something that you're comfortable with, you might want to go to, one of the greenhouses and talk to one of the staff members there, because there are a ton of plants that you can get that are very low maintenance, that would be easy to care for and would do very well in a space.
So don't just roll into Walmart and pick up what you see. Do your research and do it properly.
Yeah, we've been pretty bad with plants, but the one plant that we do have in the kitchen that's been here for almost 4 years now is an aloe plant. that we got right after I finished Ironman Texas. I had this big burn on my back from the sun that day. So we bought this little plant and we were using it, and it's still alive. So those aloe plants are powerhouses, and they're very useful to have in the home.
Absolutely. There are some plants that really thrive on neglect, and succulents and cactuses and things like that are really known for not needing a lot of attention, either not a lot of water or a lot of direct sunlight. So having those plants in your home is also going to do well. You do not want to go out and just buy any plant and have it suffer, because you don't want that to happen to your growth. Mm-hmm.
We used to have spider plants, but somehow those didn't even make it in this house. But thinking about getting a plant again, for those people with pets, you need to make sure that your pets aren't going to go after those plants. So if you have a cat and it likes hanging toys, then getting a spider plant wouldn't be a good idea. But definitely thinking about that while you make your choices too. And I think that we'll probably get some hanging plants that will stay high enough for the cat to stick away from.
Yeah. I actually I make macrame plant hangers, and it's for that purpose, because we have actually over 40 plus plants in our home, and we've got young children, and we did have pets. So to keep them up out of the way was very important. So that's something that I do now, and I've sold several, almost upwards to 100 of, because they're hard to find and they're very practical. It makes sense to have them up and out of the way. It also saves floor space or counter space if you have it in the kitchen. You can also access light much easier, in front of windows and that.
So Jess, I'm just reflecting on what you said a few minutes ago about the door handles in our kitchen and the lights being burnt out, and that actually does exist in our kitchen. So
sure.
I'm going to have to improve our flow and energy in there by changing those light bulbs and getting new handles for those drawers.
Or maybe the right screws.
We'll figure it out, but we got to make some
part.
changes. Yeah, we got to make some changes. So, well, thank you so much for that information and that help. If people want to connect with you, reach out, and hear more about what you're doing, where is the best place for them to go?
There's two places. I would recommend going to my website first, because all my contact information is there. All the package information is there, and there's lots of really good advice and services there. I've got a blog and everything. So, and that is at www.nurturewithnaturehomedesigns.ca. Or you can also find me on my Facebook page under Nurture with Nature Home Designs.
And we'll link to that in the show notes at planttrainers.com. Thank you again so much for spending time with us today on the Plant Trainers podcast and helping people to improve their quality of life through their kitchens.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor, and I'm extremely blessed to be a part of your Plant Trainers network.
Thank you so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any other podcast listening platforms. We appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it ensures other people will find us too. Thanks to our patrons. To become a patron, visit www.patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference. Connect and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Plant Trainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at www.planttrainers.com for awesome plant-based recipes and a list of our services. Email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so we can answer them on our upcoming Facebook Lives. We hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time, and have a healthy day.